Tabletop Titan asked a very popular question this week about the supposed to lose fight. And I noticed that among a lot of the comments in VRs there was a question about why this would ever be necessary. And in my experience, this is usually a genre-related issue, such as in a supers game where the villain requires the presence of the hero to witness his ultimate victory and give him a chance to grandstand, not for any sane or rational reason, just for purely genre emulation reasons. In Pulp, well, there's thousands of reasons why you might want to capture the heroes. Killing them later is always a good reason. Killing them in a very specific way, forcing them to witness something tragic, blaming them for what it is that you're actually doing, and on it goes. In fantasy, I haven't had much reason to ever do this. But again, those old motivations come to the surface. And that's really the point of my video response, is motivations. Why does the Game Master do this? Why is it necessary for a foregone conclusion to be thrust into the game, and what should you do when one happens? There's been some excellent advice, particularly about if you have decided this is your end goal, don't engage the dice because that will be just frustrating. I come at it from a slightly different point of view, which I've seen reflected in the comments, so this is nothing new, just my 2 cents, that it's all right for the villain or the responsible party to want to capture the characters. There's nothing wrong with that. That's an interesting plot element. And there's nothing wrong with the characters being captured. Where we all tend to balk is the GM's Fiat, that you've been captured, and how to emulate that, or how to present that. I'm not of the persuasion where I will actually do that to a player, or a group of players. I'll cheerfully send out the villain's forces to try and subdue them, and they'll either succeed or they'll fail. And that's what's going to create the story. But I don't run in the narrativist vein as much as I do in other styles of gaming. Now, I'm not above starting a story this way. I've started many stories with characters in uncomfortable or inopportune positions, such as hanging out of the back of a truck, or one memorable occasion actually running down the street on fire. But this is the sort of thing that you can do with a group that trusts you, that knows that the only thing that's going to kill them are their own actions and the roll of the dice, and that things stay fair. I'm not really sure how fair that whole fire thing was, but the player survived, and it was an awesome event. But the supposed to lose fight. For me, keeping the motivation front and foremost is essential. It's really the basis of how I plot games anyway, or how I structure the flow of the game as it's in motion. When you set up a situation where the party will be captured and taken to location X for this great scene, you are plotting based on an event, and the event is connected to a scene, or a dramatic element that you want to include. It's not really coming from anywhere else, well, unless it is. And it's that unless it is part that I find makes this kind of situation palatable. So as I mentioned before, it's okay for the villain to want to capture the heroes. And it's okay for them to send their troops out to try and accomplish that. And as long as there's a valid reason for all of these things to be happening, for the attempt to be made, that's great. Are there any reasons for the group, for the characters, to submit? What can be brought to bear to force them to surrender? Is it the power of the forces arrayed against them? Is it the capture or kidnapping of someone close to them who cannot defend themselves so well? Is it a threat of some other kind that gets them to submit? There's more than just you're surrounded and knocked out. I mean, the game system really should be able to handle that. And if it doesn't, if it's not built in a way to allow the characters to accept a defeat of that style, defeat unto capture rather than defeat unto death, then this kind of finesse clearly requires not using the dice, because, as has been mentioned, you're going to upset people. But you'll upset people even more if the only reason that this kind of scene is happening is to jump the story from one place to another place. There needs to be support, motivations, reasons for everybody involved to feel that this makes sense. If I were sitting down to play a game like, well, any of the gumshoe games, where the point is entirely focused on emulating a particular style of fiction, and that style of fiction included such scenes where the group would be kidnapped, I think we'd all just have to be mature about it and say, you've been captured. And the type of people I think that get into that style of game shouldn't really have any problem with being kidnapped for the sake of the story. Where some other games take it, also in the more narrative camp, is to enter into a dialogue with the players about your hoped-for outcome of the scene as the game master. You offer them something in exchange for allowing the abduction to pass without complaint. Now, this might be points, fate points, or something along those lines, or it may be an opportunity to define the means of their escape later, or whatever appeals to the group. It's not exactly a bribe, it's a negotiation. You are bringing this story element into the game because of something that you want. So what do the player characters get to bring into the game to balance that out? It's all fair. Now, as I said before, my way of running things would be to see if they can actually be captured or not. But that's kind of a dull answer in comparison to the other VRs you've got. So anyway, thanks for the question.